Hi everybody, today I'm going to be talking about whether Peyton Manning should come back for another season or indeed retire. Now my take on it is, prior to his injury, Peyton Manning was on his way to another monster season. Then he got hurt, he had the quad injury, he toughed it out. It was a disappointing end to his season, and the Broncos season in general. And it leaves questions about whether or not he's coming back. Now he has a physical coming up, and if he passes, he's due to make $19 million against Denver's salary caps. That creates problems for Denver and their salary cap situation. Um, from what I saw though in the playoffs against the Indianapolis Colts, I didn't see anything that was like I didn't see any lingering issue. I didn't see a quarterback or particularly a person. I didn't see him struggle with any part of his body. I just thought he had a bad day. I thought his passes were way off over half the time, and to me, I thought he looked like a 39-year-old quarterback, a guy that's heading towards the exit stages of his career. Of course, he's going to retire on his own terms, not be forced out. Well, I mean, Denver could cut him. I've been reading reports about John Elway intentionally failing Peyton on his physical, so he doesn't have to pay that $19 million. Well, let me say this: if he does that, that's Bush League. What he did for Denver in 3 years, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but prior to Peyton going there, I mean, they had quarterback issues at Kyle Orton, and then they were 1-4 in 2011 before Tim Tebow pulled them out of the gutter and took them to the playoffs. Yeah, 8-8 record, but they ended up beating the Steelers, and it was a heck of a run. It was Tebow mania, and everyone was going crazy, and then they got Peyton, and they ended up as a top 3 team in the AFC. They got to the Super Bowl, in which they got destroyed by the Seahawks. But I think when you consider the state of the Broncos, going forward, are they really ready for Brock Osweiler? I mean, I watched him in a few games, and I don't get the impression that he's ready to take the reins, and I don't get the impression that he's going to be the guy going forward. I think they're going to be a really bad team without Peyton. Then talk about the hiring of a new coaching staff, Gary Kubiak, and it's the transition to a new offense. I mean, who's going to be there? Who's not going to be there? To me, if Peyton does come back, I feel like he and Kubiak are going to be a complete disaster. Now, being a Texan fan, seeing Gary Kubiak's offense for 8 years in Houston and the year at Baltimore, nothing has changed. It's still very much the same. It's a run-first, play-action bootleg, rollouts, and to me, I think the plays are still the same. I mean, a couple of Baltimore games I watched, I guessed almost 50% of Kubiak's plays, and I got them 50% correct. What Kubiak does not allow, and this is what people need to realize, Kubiak does not allow audibles. He doesn't give the quarterback much freedom to make any changes at the line of scrimmage, which is, along with arm strength problems for Matt Schaub, the big reason why the Texans offense and the Texans team failed in 2013. I mean, yeah, he did turn around the Texans. I mean, he made them a decent team, and they got to the playoffs thanks in large part to the defense coordinated by Wade Phillips, who is, ironically, now the defensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos. Peyton likes to have control of the offense. He likes to be able to audible and call essentially his own plays, his own routes. I don't see Kubiak and Peyton meshing together. I don't. Peyton's Peyton's a great quarterback. I'm sure he'd adjust the Kubiak system. But watching Joe Flacco, I thought a big reason why Flacco had such a big season under Kubiak is because he has a bigger arm than Schaub, and now Peyton Manning. Peyton's arm strength isn't the same. And Flacco's got a little bit more mobility. He can move in the pocket. He can do those bootlegs, those rollouts. We go back to Brock Osweiler. Can he do that? I mean, it's hard for me to imagine the Denver Broncos being a championship contender regardless of whether they get Peyton Manning back or not. I feel like if they do sabotage Peyton at his, well, by they I mean John Elway, at his physical, like I said, I think it's Bush League. I think when you think about the state of the Broncos prior to Peyton Manning and probably what they're going to look like without him, to me, and everything that Peyton's done for that team, it's kind of a slap in the face. Actually, it's not kind of a slap in the face. It is a slap in the face. But I just, yeah, and if Peyton does come back and he is a free agent, the only team I see him fitting in is Houston. I mean, they got pieces in place to contend. They still need a secondary. They'll still need a long-term solution at quarterback, but a temporary solution. Yeah, I mean, Peyton could help the Texans for a year, at least. If he still has anything left to give. I mean, let's not forget, he hasn't made an official decision yet. But I don't see... Buffalo could be a decent team with Peyton. They got a good defense and a good running game. But it's a cold weather city. And does Peyton want to play in another cold weather city, or does he want to play with a team that has a roof on their stadium like Houston, or even Arizona? Maybe they'll be looking at quarterback, but they just paid Carson Palmer a pretty big contract. But right now, Peyton. I know it's all speculation. He could come back. He couldn't come back. Do I think he should come back? I don't think he should, because I'm not judging from what I saw in the playoffs. I didn't see a quarterback that was suffering from any injury. It was after I feel like the injury was used more of an excuse of why they failed against the Colts, instead of saying, well, he looked like a 39-year-old quarterback, and he did look like a player that's losing it. That's on the back end of his career, and but we'll see. I mean, it's like I said, it's entirely up to Peyton. Do I think he should come back? Do I think he will? I think he will. I think before the injury, he was having a big season. I mean, he could probably give it one more year. But I don't think he should. I think he looked like an old quarterback. But it's entirely up to him, and we'll see what happens. Well, whatever Peyton does decide will dramatically change the outlook of how the AFC contenders, like whether Denver is in the mix of a championship contention. But I think whether Peyton comes back or not, Denver's run is over. I don't see him winning with a team in transition. I just don't see a team in transition like Denver, with or without Peyton, doing anything next season. I mean, it's going to take some time to adjust to Kubiak's offense and Kubiak's coaching style. Now he's the head coach again. And I'll just throw this little wrench in there for Denver fans. 2012 offseason, when Peyton was initially released by the Indianapolis Colts, Peyton actually had Houston on his radar, but Kubiak made a statement saying that Matt Schaub was their guy, was the guy that was going to lead the Texans to a Super Bowl, and that they didn't need Peyton Manning. So maybe Kubiak has a decision on whether he wants to coach Peyton or not. And obviously people will say, well, why wouldn't he? But let's not forget, Kubiak chose Matt Schaub. I mean, at the time, Schaub was a capable quarterback of doing something. Well, was he capable of leading the Texans to the Super Bowl? Yeah, I think he was. At the time, he got the Texans halfway to their first playoff appearance in 2011, and created the question of could he lead them to the Super Bowl, and those questions came up after he had a Lisfranc injury, and then obviously 2012 they were the number 1 seed for 12 weeks, and then they faltered at the end, and then Schaub ended up forgetting how to play quarterback, and the Texans ended up going 2-14. So I mean, it was just a spiral of events that, I mean, for 12 weeks it kind of looked like, oh, Schaub is capable of leading the Texans to do something, but I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I don't see Kubiak and Peyton working together. I don't see it working. I think it's going to be this offseason is going to be very interesting at the quarterback position. You know, Nick Foles and Peyton Manning. It's all going to come together, and 32 teams are going to either improve or take a step back. Free agency starts March 10th, and then the draft is April 30th, so we'll see what happens. This is Sports Talk with Sam Darley. Thanks for watching.